All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order, 6:30, 12/4/2023. If you'd join me in studying the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right. Looks like everyone who came down made it safely. That's what we're talking about with the weather out there. And it looks like could have been bad roads, but they seem to be pretty good. Probably partly due to the DPW, right? Possibly. So we'll go ahead and get started here. We've got some warrants. We'll start down with Jeff, work our way around. Brendan is here. He's just on Zoom tonight. So.
Okay, so I have the payroll warrants. I have two of them. One is dated.
Speak into the microphone, Jeff, please.
Someone moved it on. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so I have two payroll warrants. The first one's dated November 24th, 2023, and that one is in the amount of $46,388.44. And that warrant includes all the agency checks. And then I also have a second warrant dated December 1st. And that warrant is in the amount of $23,760.31. And that's more of our normal payroll without the agency checks. And I would make a motion that we approve these warrants as presented.
Second. You have any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, Jack, would you mind? We've got the stormwater utility and
You got a
Stonehouse.
Stonehouse warrant. December 4th, 2023, in the amount of $261.67. Want to do them separate or one of them?
we can do them, I think, both together. There's only one charge on there, Sunbelt Rentals. What is that, Sean? Or what was that for?
I think it's for Helen John. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then the other one?
And that stormwater utility warrant for December 4th is $315 even. Need a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And the general fund one, please.
Okay, I have the general fund warrant dated December 1st, 2023 in the big amount of $522,231.27. And the big culprit on here is the paving for $500,887. You want to speak to that, Dave?
Make a comment.
Sure.
It was a little over 500,000.
Yep.
We had 475,000 in the budget. We've got roughly $100,000 coming in the last two things. Well, knock down our portion. I think it's 7,000.
Yeah, 408 looks like, or four, right? 408 or something.
That leaves us still another $65,000+ in the paying budget, which I wanted to use possibly next June to get a project started. We'll get the paving going, get it out to bid in January, February, something like that. And if we have a little bit of money in there to feed the contractors in June, we might be able to jump on it.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Dave.
I have one question. We use mostly just one contractor for all that, or do you do different people?
We just put out
one page. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I make the motion, we approve that warrant.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That's three right there. So next up, we have the minutes, and we only have one set. It's our regular meeting from November 20th, 2 weeks ago. I didn't see anything that needs to be changed myself, but entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Excellent. Next up, we do have public comment. We'll start with anyone who's present first and then go to Zoom after that. Is there anyone here who would like to make a public comment? Sure. If you wouldn't mind, just, I don't want Jen to yell at me. So, thank you.
Hi, the only question I have is, will the park be plowed this year, this winter?
Good question.
The path?
Do we have an answer on that, Sean or Dave?
Just
I know
like
we've
the
discussed
sidewalk.
that sometimes in the past.
This will be my first winter here, so.
The
Is-
walkway.
did we usually
The
do some-
walkway, yeah.
Yeah.
Walkway in Bay Park, right?
If it's always been done, yeah.
Dave, you wanna come up, speak to that in the microphone?
We'll try.
Yeah.
Been doing that in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's-
Yeah, nothing's gonna change on
I
it.
know last year, for a couple weeks after, it got done.
We kind of feels-
Complained about it, wanted it done.
And we would have to do it. All.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's driving down there anyway.
So I guess that's our answer. We're gonna try to keep that open, so. awesome.
So we talked about this in great lengths multiple times, and I don't think we ever came up with an answer whether or not we're gonna maintain it or we're not going to maintain it, like. I always felt that either we're gonna maintain it in the wintertime or we're not. So like 2-3 weeks after a storm or a week after a storm isn't maintaining it is where I'm going with this.
I would say the answer is yes.
So. if
Or at
we're
least
gonna- So if we're saying we're gonna maintain it, we're gonna maintain it. Like, I don't want somebody to come complain that there's drifts and everything is not being maintained, or if we say we're not gonna maintain it and we can.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where we left off, that's all.
Is there
Yeah,
an
then-
issue with that last year? Or?
It's, and every year it seems
Okay.
like.
Yeah.
It's always been good, but last year it took a little bit. It wasn't done at first, and then because it wasn't done, there was a lot of ice underneath it. But people complained and wanted it done. So, you know, as long as you guys can do it, a lot of people use it.
What do
The
we do
garbage
with,
needs to be emptied and also the dog bags refilled too, because that was always an issue.
I think too, as long as we, be reasonable about it. Obviously, if there's 18 inches of snow, the roads are gonna get done first priority, and then we get it. And I guess I'm just wondering if there's a way, I don't know, it used to be just on the website, if there was a time where we weren't able to get to it for whatever reason, staffing or whatever, that it was just on there, that it wasn't open. But to Jonathan's point, if people drive down thinking it's open, it should be safe, not safe the first part they're walking and then
Yeah.
hit some ice down
With the basic
ways, so.
page, even if, you go and plow it after the storm, put a little note on there, what big is the plow, have at it.
Yeah.
What about if we say we're maintaining it? And someone slips on the ice because, I mean, is it a use at your own risk thing, or are we guaranteeing a certain degree of safety?
I was just gonna say, it's not gonna be perfect.
It never has been perfect, but it's been perfect because it's been done.
What,
But also, you saying it's salt. Probably, not the first. But you started putting sand and salt out, that helps.
Stand on.
Well, the sand helps, but salt also through that's. It's pretty good.
what do we plow it with, Dave?
John can take one of those little tractors, we were looking at getting something.
Right.
We have there.
Something with a smaller thing with a plow.
Yeah, we have, we don't have.
Okay. Thanks,
Like a
Dave.
bench
Thank-
ramp.
It's a good comment.
Do our best.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank
Perfect. Any other public comments or anyone in the audience? Oh, any public comment on Zoom then?
No, that's just the math. What's that?
it looked like it's out.
All right. So our next one here is to have the FCIDC director. Tim just had written to me just before we started and said he'd be here in about 10 minutes. We're right at minute 9 here, so he may be here in another minute. Otherwise, we can skip ahead and go to Dave since Tim's not here.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So Dave, we'll go, and I know we asked you to come back, just update on anything further with stormwater utility, of course, and then specifically, we kind of tasked you and Sean with going through to see what part of our original draft of the budget could potentially fall under stormwater utility as opposed to just general fund.
Well, you're right.
Huh?
Yeah.
Dave, make sure you speak into the microphone, please.
What'd you say? I can't hear you, Jen.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, Dave, what do we got here?
Okay, so we've done a couple things. Sean and I have gone through and we looked at the general fund budget. We're still kind of going through that to see what we can move out and into stormwater, but it's not really a whole lot. But what I've put in front of you today is how we think we can spend the money that we've got available to us right now. You know, we've got, if you look at the first page, I pulled out all of the projects that were identified in our 2 flow restoration plans from the 2 improved or impaired brooks that we have. So those plans were prepared, 6, 7 years ago, and they identified projects that belong to the city, some that belong to the town, some that belong to V-Trans, and kind of identified those that were a mix of the various entities there. But I pulled out the ones essentially that would affect us. The cost estimates on there are very old, so I wouldn't trust any of those. I put them in there anyway, just for discussion purposes. So there's 6 projects in Stevensbrook that we would be involved with, 19 in Rugbrook, and then there's 17 from the phosphorus control plan projects. And
What's the one, Dave, just number 6 under Stevensbrook, 65 Bishop Street? What is that?
trying to remember where. I don't know all the details on these projects right now. I was just trying to make a list of them.
Gotcha.
I can
Okay.
probably,
I mean, is there a Bishop Street in the town? I know there's one in the city, but
Once it got longer.
that's fine if you don't know. the
Yeah,
details. I'm just curious if you did.
okay, so I was just trying to list out all the projects.
Okay,
Okay, so,
yep.
and we can certainly, I think I've got the materials here. We could go back in there and look at that if we wanted to. The projects in the phosphorus control plan, those are the ones that need to be done by 2036. Okay, and again, those cost estimates, I would take those with a grain of salt, but I just put in what we were given. And I firmly believe that even though it says 8 million, that's we're looking at closer to 14, 15 million dollars to do all of these projects. Which is definitely, I don't even know if that's possible. So the next page. It talks about the MS formula grant that the Agency of Natural Resources is giving to us. So they're giving us this $459,698 grant. It's going to require a local match of what I showed in there, $114,924.50. So as far as the formula grant, we have, around $575,000 to use. And then if you look at what we've got in the stormwater utility, we've got around $241,000 from FY24 and around $253,000 from FY23. So if you sum those, it's a little less than 500,000. And then we take out that 114,000 as the match for the formula grant. And that shows that we've got about 953,000 available to us for projects.
In the,
Right today.
okay.
Yes.
Yep.
So Sean and I were going through all the projects we have. We've got a lot of those that are already in progress in design. We don't have anything in construction right now. So I was just trying to portion that money out. So those that are color coded in yellow, we could put towards that MS formula grant money. That money has to be spent by September 30th of 2026.
Which one's next year? Oh, it's the Cloud Allen's. I'm sorry.
Okay. Then if you look at the projects, Clyde Allen Drive, we do have another grant for that one for $360,000. And that money has to be spent by the end of December next year.
Say that again, Dave. There's another 360,000 for Clyde Allen that's not listed on here.
That is correct.
It's a separate grant.
Yeah, it's a separate grant.
Okay.
It's a separate grant from V-Trans. It's for $360,000. And then we have to match it with 90,000, but we're estimating the project's gonna be around 600,000.
Mhm.
And then we would propose to use money from the MS formula grant in addition to the percent impervious. We're
Mhm.
still looking at using percent impervious to apportion out the costs
Yeah,
from the
town of the home.
from the town and the residents and all, okay? The next project on there, the East and West Basin design, those are the two projects that are up at the top of the sash. You know, we're trying to grab some of the stormwater that's coming down off of the hill, not French Hill like the paper said, but off of the hill there. And catch it before it gets down going into Tanglewood.
Mhm.
And then we've got the money for Tanglewood or the number for Tanglewood in there. You know, we're still looking at probably $550,000 for that project. They've got some money that they're willing, or not willing, but they have some money to kick into the project. They tell us about $65,000. I believe there was an older agreement between the town and Clyde Allen for how much they were going to spend. And I'm not sure it really corresponds with the percent impervious.
Clyde Allen or Tangle?
It's Tanglewood. I'm sorry if I got
okay.
that mixed up. Yes, for Tanglewood. Okay,
We should find that and see then, huh?
yep. And then the three listed in green, I wanted to start getting some projects going in the design phase so that we can kind of get our momentum going with some projects in design, some in construction, some in planning, that kind of thing. So, you know, we can just kind of get the ball rolling, get everything moving.
Mhm.
So right now we don't really have anything in construction yet. But the ones I was looking at, that French Hill culvert, that project's going to be about $300,000, but we have applied for a grant through V-Trans. So hopefully we'll get that and then we can use the stormwater utility for local match there. For Grice Brook, we need to advance their design some. We're picking up conversations again with the cemetery folks to try and see if we can't get that piece that we need there instead of trying to squeeze in something that's too small and inadequate for what they need.
Mhm.
Pleasant View Estates, that's Prospect Hill neighborhood up there. And there's already an open space up there that we could put a gravel wetland in up there. And then there's this twin court design. I came across from 2018. Somebody was trying to get a grant to do a project there. I don't think, it must not have been successful. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but then I found like a 30% design drawing in the files too, which was essentially putting in a pipe from Thorpe Avenue all the way down to the bottom where it goes into the condos there, just east of the brook down there, and then putting a gravel wetland or an infiltration basin down at the bottom there. And we've already got people on Twin Court complaining about how deep those ditches are and people wanting to fill in the ditches, putting the pipe in there.
When you say, Dave, you said a 30% design, that means it's 30% complete, or does it 30% refer to something else?
30% complete.
Okay.
So
The
it's not, yeah.
design.
The design is, yes. So this money that I would put in there would be to get the design back up to final,
100%.
ready to go to out to bid plans and specs.
Gotcha. Okay.
The other thought I was having on Tanglewood, you know, Tanglewood is designed to treat the water coming out of Tanglewood and not the extra water coming off of the sash. You know, that one, we've got the plans and specs ready for that one. If we were to build it, it would handle most storms that happen. The ones that it wouldn't handle would be the big ones that we got like in July. But these things are designed with overflows. So it would essentially overflow there, and then the big storm like we had in July, where it overflowed down at the corner and then jumped over onto Potter Ave, it would probably do that again. So, you know, that's a project that's ready to go. Most of the time it's going to be sufficient, but it just won't during a big storm when we get all that water coming off of the sash.
In your opinion, Dave, if we did it with that design, I mean, I know in the past we've talked about that design wouldn't handle it, therefore maybe we shouldn't do it. But if we use that design to fix Tanglewood And then subsequently other projects lessen the amount of water coming down.
That is
That would be
correct.
fine. So a big July storm wouldn't necessarily destroy
Right.
or harm that infrastructure.
That's the other projects on here that we're trying to take that water and get it away from.
Is that the
from
east-west
Tanglewood.
basin?
That's the
you're
east and the
referring to?
west basin projects. That's the Gricebrook project. And potentially SATEC is, they're doing their project. That might decrease it a little bit too.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
does it solve the problem? No. I'm also trying to set up a meeting with V-Trans to actually meet out there at the SASH and say, look, this is where the water's coming over. We need to do something right here. If we could do something right now, it would be very beneficial to our residents. So I haven't heard back from them yet. So, but I will, because they would be a party, they would be involved in this east and west basin design, and we're applying for a grant right now for those designs too.
Yeah.
And they are involved with us in preparing those and reviewing them.
On state land or we gotta go?
The one of them would be in the state right away. That would be the west basin. And then the east basin would be the one in the corner of the farm field there. It would be on the northwest corner of exit 19. Well, Route 104,
Yeah. That
In
corner.
the Sash.
and 104.
yeah, the area that's already wet all the time.
So kind of the opposite of where that other one already is next to the maple fields up there.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're talking about that little triangular field right there.
So
And right now, we're only looking at doing kind of like preliminary engineering on it, get out there and do the percolation tests and sizing of it and all that. So
But is that all state land? Some of that land Smith though.
that is correct. It is Smith's.
Okay.
But the water's actually coming, goes through the town and into there. So we can't say it's 100% V-Trans. So we'll have to share in that one.
Okay.
But the goal right now is to get some designs on the shelf with some better cost estimates on it so that we can make some decisions on moving forward and how to move forward. But it's all kind of predicated on getting money into the stormwater utility too.
Any other questions from any board members?
No, it's kind of what we were looking for.
Yes, a good little
Black and white.
start with a roadmap here.
what the
Yeah,
Potential impact is on the money.
a lot of money, no question.
Question for Sean. Did I know you're gonna have a meeting with the representatives? Representative Dickinson and such.
Yeah,
Has
next
that
week.
occurred yet or is that
Next week,
next week? Okay,
I think a week from today, actually.
okay.
When is that during the day?
Hmm?
During the day?
Yes, yeah.
Yep, okay.
You got a date?
I think I sent you guys an
What,
email.
I just think, Sean, like having this and then as you're saying, it's 8.1 and basically $2016. So it probably equates to
Oh.
14 or 15 and
Yes.
$24.
And some of those projects on there, we're not gonna get to for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So who knows what that's gonna cost them.
Yeah, but I think that'll be good in hand to have when we're meeting with, because who's the other representative, who's the chairman of the whatever board that's gonna
Yeah.
be doling money out,
appropriations,
so
Yeah, Lampier and Dickinson.
be helpful.
That's who's coming?
Yeah, I'll send you the invite
What day was that?
on Monday.
Monday?
Yeah.
This one coming up?
11th, yeah.
Yeah, I'll send it to you again.
Dave, you
know
mentioned, I
don't
think,
Generally get them.
about the budget section then, if you've taken a glance at that, you just don't think there's that much that would be able to fit
Yeah.
under stormwater utility?
Yeah, because Sean and I went through that and it didn't seem like there was a whole lot that we don't typically, or that we wouldn't typically do just as a DPW. You know what I mean? The big culverts, yeah, we could probably put those in the stormwater utility. If you guys want, we can put in every single culvert we replaced into the stormwater utility. But that eventually it would take money away from the big projects that we need to do.
In part of it too, Dave, I'm wondering about just the wages, when DPW guys are actually working on stormwater stuff, and maybe it's less than I think, but I don't know if that's something that could be calculated and quantified to put in the budget.
I think we talked about like a 20% or 25% or something.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Hey, it'll just be something that comes and goes, so.
Yeah.
But it would be
Yeah.
possible.
Okay. Okay.
And then all the other smaller items, they would just be nickels and dimes. Moving stuff around like training, uniforms, safety equipment, even materials.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense or not.
So you're saying 20% of their labor,
I'm just making a guess.
just a guess?
Yeah.
So typically, unless they're using like a shovel, they're using a piece of equipment.
Yep.
Like that gets paid for from the general fund. So 20% to me,
Reserve.
like if you just equate, like typically they're in a loader or a backhoe or something, that's quite a bit of money. Like I'm just saying this because
Substantial amount.
we look at this budget and I think now is the time that we need to start segregating this stuff, like what's stormwater, what isn't.
Mhm.
And just start moving in that direction. Because the budget just keeps going up and up and up. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to start letting stormwater pay for something, which we're actually doing stormwater stuff with it.
Mhm.
So why not let stormwater pay for it, whatever that may be?
Big or little, whatever it is.
So it is what it is.
Right.
It's also, I guess, assuming that it's staying in place, because that's what we're having a hard time talking through today is how do we plan if we don't know for sure which direction we're going in on that front. So that's a big, the elephant in the room. And not that we talk about it right now, but we're talking about breaking things out and well, does that mean it's gonna be there? This is essentially the most important question.
So now we're going back to whether or not we're funding this? Is that the elephant in the room?
Yeah, I
Okay.
believe so. Yes.
So why don't we, if we want to talk about that in depth, why don't we just put it back on the agenda again for next time?
That'd be fine.
Because I'm not prepared for that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't, obviously we can't do
It's like,
anything about it
what
today.
specifically though, John?
Well, if we're gonna talk about how we're gonna fund the stormwater thing like again.
Yeah.
Because. I think we left it, we're gonna have staff work on it and come up with some ideas.
Yeah.
That was a month and a half, 2 months ago. Again, I haven't seen that yet, so.
What are you expecting on that front? Because we've worked through quite a bit.
Think a minute. Thought we left it at, what are we gonna fund? Wasn't it, can't. drawing a blank.
Well, and this is a good start, right? Because we've got basically enough money on hand to tackle these first 7 projects on here, correct? But based on old estimates of what they cost. And these, correct me if I'm, does this have the money that we would be raising for next year or money that we've already?
It doesn't have
Yeah.
FY 25 in there.
Right, okay.
Just 24.
It's just
Just
what we
money
got.
that's,
Correct.
We've already
Okay.
got, yeah.
okay.
I mean, next time we can come with the DPW budget and the stormwater budget side by side. And go through those.
That'd be helpful, you think?
Well,
Okay. We can do it in 2 weeks.
I don't think we ever talked about not funding the stormwater.
Oh, there,
Talk
okay.
about how to fund.
I thought we were talking about how to fund,
How to fund it, that's right.
not that whether or not we were going to fund
How we were gonna fund it.
T versus fee.
versus whatever. And that's, so I think what we were looking for was what any alternative scenario looks like and how that would affect other things. Brendan in the meeting had concerns about what it would do to our LOT allocations. But no one really laid that out, like if we pulled whatever out of it. So I don't think the issue was funding it, it was not like how we're funding it. So as far as that's what I hope the impression was.
No, you're right.
Nobody floated the idea, no matter how much we'd like to, zero fund it. No one's saying we should zero fund it. Some of people on the board are suggesting we find a different way to fund it.
But we needed to know how much it, which is what this is, we needed to
Yeah.
know rough. Yes, what we're looking at from all these projects, which is, you know,
it's definitely.
I'll probably be dead in time to get through all this.
Well, and the other piece, the meeting with, I mean, the state legislators obviously aren't gonna be able to tell us exactly what we're gonna get, but at least we might get some insight as to what that might look like. That'd be nice.
No pressure on it.
Maybe they'll come with a check.
Like, I think this document's great, but my concern in my head is, you know, the numbers can only hold up for a very short amount of time in today's economy. 6 months, I mean, a culvert could go up 25% in this economy. So I think like, I would focus on really what we can immediately do.
That's why we did it this way.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
that's all we can look at, because anything outside of that is just throwing it against the board. Who
That's
knows?
what we've been talking about.
Right.
We got X number of dollars
Right.
in there now. We got these projects. Let's do the most we can with what we got.
yeah, I think if these 7 projects were complete, I mean, we would agree that's a really good start. There's all the rest of it.
And they're the biggest ones too, so
Yeah.
Tanglewood and Clyde Allen are two of the
Two
biggest
of the big
ones.
ones, yeah. So in 2 weeks, so you wanna look at the two, but I mean, I think Jonathan's point, which is, you know, the question, just if our guys are working 20% of the time on stormwater related things, I mean, it makes sense to have up to 20% of the wages and benefits allocated to that budget.
The machine time.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, you can look right at the equipment plan, pull whatever numbers are, like, some of it off there, like it does cost us every year to have that equipment going, you know. I think we gotta get creative and, you know, if we got whatever sitting there, $945,000, I'd gladly take 45,000 of it and put it against the DPW.
Yeah.
In the budget, why not? Like, why would
Yeah.
we not do that?
yeah, I think we just gotta be, yeah, it'd be good to look at it and be thoughtful, cause it is a zero sum game, whatever we take out of here, this, you know, no longer available there, just in case, but I think to look at,
Well,
it's,
I know, but I'm worried about the tax increase.
yeah, I mean,
You know.
We can dive
yeah,
into
We
it,
had
yeah.
8% last year.
yeah, I mean,
you know,
10% of those wages is right around the amount you're talking about 50,000. Right, but I'm looking at that, this number is right.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable, you know.
I just think any spot we can do what we should do.
Mhm.
Cause 10 years down the road, that number's gonna look. We start it now, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
That much bigger.
Yep. All right. So look at that in 2 weeks, maybe try to just look at those budgets and see what that would look like if we allocated 10 or 15%,
Fine.
see what the difference would be, and
Straightforward.
maybe some insight as to what the impact might be on the stormwater utility just going forward if we hypothetically did that, you know,
Yeah.
indefinitely into the future, so,
But I guess
you know.
the only other thing is like, cause I remember on some of this list, there's projects we do ourselves.
Yep.
Certain years we probably do more than other years ourselves, which would create more of a, you know, we get more of a kickback to the DPW.
Yep.
Some years we might not do any projects ourselves. I don't know.
Quick question, David?
When you said 10-15%, back in 10% of what the labor cost is for day department, or are you talking also 10-15% as judgments you do this for every time the ability to use a piece of equipment? Is that a cost that can also? be
That's what we-
Or does it kill storm?
Yeah, that's my concern with too much, I don't wanna say too much of a good thing, but you know, if we have too much, if it's reasonable, it makes sense. And see what those numbers would look like. I don't know what, I mean, I know what 20% of the wages looks like. I can figure that out, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure
it
what
definitely
the
will.
other,
Well, you
pieces might look like, that's all.
Machine time, you got fuel, you got all that stuff.
Yep.
You're gonna charge stormwater. You can eat that up pretty fast.
maybe we can see that in 2 weeks, and just
Machine,
get an idea.
machine time is not really even in the DPW budget. I mean, we've got,
repair costs and maintenance
Right, fuel.
and fuel.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the kinds of things we can move over,
But
but
if you were to farm this out, somebody coming in at $200 an hour for an excavator,
that is correct.
85 for a dump truck, you know,
Mhm.
whatever, and that includes the operator, I'm sure. And the fuel.
How much did we take in, Anna, for stormwater this year?
It's like 350.
I think it was in 300s, yeah. So if you took 20% of 530,
573.26, that's as of today.
this year?
Just this year. Oh, we have in there for the previous year, the 1,133,156.44.
So
I gave you all, I need before.
Yep, okay. Okay.
yeah, we'll break it out and have everything.
Yeah, if we can do that, I think it's fair to look.
But I
at.
think if you go through that process, you might say some things are 0 and some things are
Right.
15, 20, who knows?
Yeah.
This is how we did it.
Work with what we got.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to look at the numbers. Any other questions or comments for now? Pick it up in 2 weeks, huh?
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks. Nick.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to do was in January, have some kind of a meeting for the residents just to talk stormwater. You know, put some maps up on there, show everybody where the tributaries are, where the impaired waters are. Talk about the reason we're trying to do stormwater. Just, you know, we get a lot of questions about what's my $50 really doing for me? You know, you won't come out and replace my driveway culvert. So I don't want to pay you my $50. You know, but so I think we just need to have some kind of a meeting like that. It'd be similar to what we did with the Tanglewood group up here, but it would be more broader and more general. You know, not any kind of meeting to make decisions on or anything, but just to let
Yeah, the informational.
just informational only.
Yep, I think that'd be wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Real quick.
Can you?
Yeah, would you mind coming up and just stating your name? Because our
Go here.
minute, sorry about that, but our minute
Go
taker
here.
is, if she hasn't said it yet, she was about to come in, so.
The eye in the sky.
Right here.
Yeah, please.
you're fine.
Hi, Dan. I'm Jonna Grimm. Nice to meet you. Tanglewood. If you could explain also how projects are prioritized. There may be some publication somewhere that shows that. I'm not aware of it. You might be able to make me aware of it, but that would be very helpful to understand how things are prioritized. So we can go back and tell our folks why, not if, you know, but more why. Make sense?
Excellent. Yeah, that's perfect. I would
Okay.
say to just, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, but going on this and the discussions I've been a part of, I haven't been a part of all of them, but Clyde Allen, Tanglewood, and the east to west basin are the 3 top. Is that correct, Dave?
Yeah, we've got, I think it's in the phosphorus control plan as part of the development of that document. They laid out a schedule to get all these projects done by 2036. So that's roughly what we're going by. And Emily had started all these, and I think she was going by the same thing. And then every once in a while, you got to look at some and move them up ahead of some of the other ones. Like when we started Tanglewood, nobody thought that water was coming off the sash and inundating the area. But now we know for a fact that it is. So that's why we're really looking at some of those projects upstream.
Yeah.
Or up gradient of those.
Yeah.
So we kind of changed what we're doing to try and alleviate some of the water getting down to Tanglewood by looking at some of these other projects.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely more than one project that affects
Yes.
Tanglewood.
Yes, and one thing as I'm thinking about this more, I don't want to wait on Tanglewood until we get these other ones done. Because it might take us a couple of years to get these other ones going and done. And in the meantime, Tanglewood is in the same situation for another 5, 6, 7 years, whatever. So that's why I'm kind of thinking, maybe we just go ahead and do it. When we have a big storm, it's going to overflow. We just accept that. And we just keep
But it will
working
be
it.
an upgrade over what it is now.
Correct. Oh, it'll definitely be an
Absolutely.
upgrade from what it is now. Yeah.
And there wouldn't be any risk of blowing that infrastructure out?
Well, they're designed with overflows on them.
Okay.
So they're designed to overflow.
Well, I mean, a lot of them are, they have a stone ramp.
Yes.
So when it gets full, then you have your overflow pipe in the middle with the grate on.
That's correct.
So I mean, it should not be anywhere near as severe as what it was
Mhm.
with those things in place.
Correct.
Very good. See you in 2 weeks, Dave. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next up, we've got the director of the Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation, Tim Smith, he wants to come on up. So Tim, he said he's been recently doing the rounds to all the other towns anyway, and our invitation fit right in perfectly, so. Thank you. Shockingly, I saw Tim at the hockey rink, that's what it was.
No,
Thanks.
not
Tim.
hockey. Oh,
Thank you.
All right, good.
I'm not sure, Sean and I didn't really have a long conversation, but, I think part of, the discussion was maybe an update on the industrial park to begin with.
Mhm.
What I just handed out to you. What I just handed out to you is shows our debt on the park. So for those, in the audience, currently, we are about 2.6 million. We have debt on the industrial park, basically 4 loans over a period of time as we've invested in the infrastructure.
Tim, I need you to speak into the microphone, please. Thank you.
Jen.
How's that?
Perfect.
So one of the first loans was to purchase a Magnum property. And then the other 3 are all infrastructure, and we've received about probably 450,000 in grants, and that's not reflected on that total. And if you look at so all of our loans are through Vita, and when we get a loan through Vita, it's always variable loans. So that's why you're seeing we were living pretty well for a long period of time. Those loans were 3.5%, 2.5%, but now, and they're all different programs. That's why you have a different varying rate. But
Can you tell me, Tim, what does VITA stand for?
Vita is Vermont Economic Development Authority.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
whenever we do a project, whether it was building the Peerless buildings, we usually use Vita, and the reason for that is it's not structured like a traditional bank loan where we have to put 20% down. We can get financing for the full amount. So 2.6, Sean, I don't know, did you have that map? I sent Jen a site plan of the park. I did not get that.
Yes, they're in the packets.
Oh, it's in the pack,
Oh, it's
that's
in the
what that
packet,
was,
okay.
okay.
Yep.
You scroll down to that. Tim, 2 of the loans have maturity dates that are past due.
Yeah, so thanks, Brian, on that. I meant to mention. So what happens when we finance with Vita, they're balloon payments is what it amounts to. So when we reach that date, we'll either refinance or pay them off. So just to recap, the park itself is 93 acres, of which about I think 63 is developable. And right now we're charging 95,000 an acre. And we're still not done the infrastructure construction. You talk about growing cost for your projects. At one point, our final leg of the infrastructure was only going to run us about 800,000. The most recent estimate is about 1.3 now. We probably won't do much with that until we start selling some land.
so what do you got left? I mean, you got the road in over there and water.
So we got, if you have that map before you, the site plan before you, we have the cul-de-sac to the east. If you come down, you got 4 corners. And then there's a road to the west towards the Brooks property. That road has not been fully constructed. There's been a small base on it, but it hasn't been totally constructed or paved. And we have a pump station that goes down by the lower cul-de-sac as well. And we have to run some water and sewer down there as well as street lights. And we have sidewalks per Act 250 that need to go in as well. So there's a number of things. I'm not sure if that has lot numbers.
One of them does, yeah.
So it has, so lots 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all readily accessible. They could construct on them tomorrow. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, no, 7 is the retention pond. So 5, 6, 8, 9 would be the ones that we would access by constructing the lower cul-de-sac.
So what? There was a hole dug over there and a bunch of steel building piled up there this spring. What happened to that?
Interest rates went up, lost his tenant. So it's on hold. Yeah, that was
They took the building away.
took the building away, yeah. That was probably a month shy of construction starting. Right now, there's construction happening on lot 1A, which is adjacent to Ben and Jerry's. Let me just touch on lot 1. So lot 1 used to be a 10 or 11 acre parcel. And what we were finding was a need for smaller parcels. So we subdivided that and we came back to Development Review Board and subdivided it. We sold lot 1A to Purpose Energy. Purpose Energy is a bioenergy company. They're taking all the waste from Ben and Jerry's and converting it to energy. So they have broken ground as of last month, and we'll be moving forward on that. Lot 1, we do have that project that did not go forward. We still have a lease on it. So we do have a land lease on lot 1B and lot 1C. We're going back and forth on a purchase and sale for those 4 acres as well. We've had many discussions over the years, many tire kickers, many lots of things, but the thing that is interesting for folks is that we have a close relationship with Frank Coffey down at GBIC, and 7 years ago, the Greater Burlington Industrial Corp did a study on how much industrial land was available in Chittenden County. And basically the study came back and said in 7 years that the available industrial land is going to be exhausted. And and it's 7 years right now. And we're seeing that. We've seen more interest from Chittenden County developers. We actually we were working through the details of selling lots, if I remember, 6, 8, and 9, but the individual ended up being diagnosed with cancer and is still on the long road to recovery. So I'm not sure if that will come to fruition moving forward, but it was just interesting that as a Chittenden County developer that they were actually looking in the St. Albans area. So that's the debt that we continue to pay on. As we sell lots, we pay this down, or whatever loan we can pay down. So in hopes that we'll be selling more lots in the near future. And
So you were saying like the Magnin property mortgage, which was what it was due this year,
right, that's being
was refinanced.
yeah, they're working on pulling that paperwork together now. So that mortgage was at one time 670, I think, is when we started out. So we've paid it down to that level. But yes, so that will be another 10 years out. And a lot of people may wonder, how are we paying the debt on this? And a lot of it is through we own the Peerless buildings. So we're our income from that and other buildings that we own are are the set asides for paying the debt down.
How many do we own there?
Buildings.
Yeah.
Well, there's 4 buildings, 4 total for Peerless,
Mhm.
but we consider it one now.
Yeah.
We own the 2 leader buildings out in Swanton.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we, during leaders, troubles that they had, we stepped in and bought the 2 buildings to allow them some cash flow. And then we just this past June, we own the Vermont Precision Tools building and we just sold that to them back in June. So
Is there any plans that H2O is gonna buy out those buildings that Peter had or?
if they do, they haven't shared those with us. So right now we have a 10-year lease with them. So. Anyone have any questions on?
Jim, what? How would we get somebody from this town government on your board?
Town government,
Sean.
right?
Slightly.
So you do have multiple town representatives, but not town government. So we just were asked a similar question that what was it, Sean? Another town asked the same question. So we have a board of 18. We do, for the most part, geographical diversity. So we try to get all parts of the county represented. St. Albans Town actually probably has the most representatives on the board. I think there's 3 or 4 right now out of the 18. Moving forward, if there is someone, we just keep a running list, and as a seat opens up, the board picks the top 3, and then we do interviews and go from there. So we don't do term limits. We tried probably when Peter Hofstetter was in town, we were set up to do because everyone had been on so long, it was going to work out where, over a 2-year period, 3 anniversaries, if you will, we would have lost our whole board, and the historic knowledge was too great to lose all within a 2-year period. So we chosen not to do the term limits.
Tim, I don't know, how is it, I don't know how any of this stuff works. That's why we got SCIDC, right? How do companies find out about these? I mean, they don't go to realtor.com, right?
Well,
Like the
we
locks.
did,
How does
we
that-
did go, we did recently sign a contract with Pomelo, commercial real estate. So we do have an agent that goes through them. Usually what happens is the Agency of Commerce and Community Development on the state level receives the inquiries, and then they filter it out to the 12 RDCs to see who can fill the void or to fill the request. So we just got one Canada company looking for 8 to 10 acres, a certain amount of water usage every day, certain amount of power usage, natural gas. So we have responded back saying we have that availability. And then they reach out, they share what's available.
You ever worked with the guild?
What's that?
Have you ever worked with the guild, the site selector guild?
No.
No.
I mean, part of the issue also is there's only 3 of us in the office. We're not a big operation where we can go to shows and whatnot. And being that we're this close to Canada, I mean, we're usually, we get a number of inquiries from Canadian business. We have one now. We get multiple inquiries. The problem is we have no vacant buildings. I mean, there's 2 vacant.
They want something ready, turnkey.
Yeah, for sure. No one wants to
Build.
roll the dice on the Vermont permitting structure, and it could take easily, permanent if you time it right and you do it during the winter, that's a benefit. But if you wait till April and you start and the permanent, then it's going to be winter, you got winter conditions, you can't, it's going to only add to the cost of building. You'd be lucky to get it up in 18 to 20 months.
Does it make sense to start building? Is it one of those
Well,
build it and
the-
they will come kind of thing?
Well, that's a problem. Years ago, you could get away with that. You know, Louis Charbonneau, I mean, that Louis made a living out of that on Lemnod Drive, but like Vita or People's Trust or M&T, but anyone won't lend you the money to build a building unless you have a long-term lease in place that covers your debt. And that's the problem. We don't have the money. A DEW could, and we've promoted it to them and REARC and others to come in and we'll give you the land in the short term. You know, we'll give you 10 acres, you know, you pay for it over 5 years or, you know, go 2 years without paying on it. And then we'll settle up with it. But we, you know, those are the kind of incentives we've done. And we've come close a couple of times, but they just haven't materialized. But the other piece is there's only 2 vacant buildings in Franklin County of any nature. You got the former Vermont Brick building off from 78, which Travis Belisle bought, and he has gutted it.
Is that in Swanton?
He's 78
Right.
on the Highgate Swanton border.
I guess, okay, okay.
Yeah.
By what, Jeff? By.
Brendan?
It's just the self-storage.
Danco, is it Danco?
Danbro or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's in there, 35,000 square feet. So he's gutted it. Now he needs to put a new roof on, siding and everything else. And then the other one is Swan Valley Cheese, which is designed for a cheese plant, and the current owners are trying to sell it off as a cheese plant. And it may be the best plan because it's pretty broken up and
Yeah.
a lot of it's an outdated building for sure.
Yeah.
So we have nothing to really to attract new business to this area.
Yeah, you mentioned the 7 years of Chittenden County. Do you see an increase in interest?
Oh,
I
yeah,
know they
yeah.
may, you know,
Yeah, we see a big increase in interest. You know,
Okay.
from a variety of people.
so any, just, I don't know. So how do we move forward and kind of help it make it work, so to speak?
Well, I mean, us signing on with a commercial realtor, that was a fairly big step for us. We went years without one, and the gentleman we use is Brad Worthen, and Brad has brought a number of leads to the table. So, you know, the other one is just maintaining that relationship with the state.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I
And-
hear the current
Yep.
District 6 Environmental Commission is pretty reasonable, don't see. Probably
Well-
move stuff along.
You know, actually, are we being recorded? Act 250 is not the issue. I mean, it's wetlands. It's trying to get responses back. It's a lot of, you know, the state will tell you they can't find help just like everyone else. And I mean, we waited 6 months to rectify a wetland issue. I mean, so, and I mean, we already have the Act 250 in the industrial park. It's a umbrella permit. Each individual one would then be a minor. If, you know, if someone moved on lot 3, it's a minor, no big deal. But if they hit some wetlands or stormwater issues or whatever the case is, and that's what drags it down.
We were around to go when Neutrino wanted to come in down here. Beacon feed, it was at the time.
Oh, no, I don't remember that one.
Well, he probably ran around, but, there was like somebody had dug out the full Benoit there, dug a little bit of gravel, and there was a hole filled with cattails.
Well,
They shut it right down and they went out to swamp and built in the swamp out there.
well, this same thing just happened in reverse. Cargo, yeah. So it just happened in reverse that the Rowells dug a hole on their property up off from 78. And they had an interested party, which is now the one we're sort of having a purchase and sale discussion with. They got bumped off the one on 78 because of the wetlands that someone had dug a hole and so they had to start over. Same exact thing.
Thing is, it's not Act 250 per se, it's
No.
all the other stuff.
No.
you gotta go through.
I mean, like
They all take their full time.
yeah, I mean, we have to pay V-Trans mitigation for the number of cars coming and going. I can't remember what the total is on that lot 1B. We paid $7,000 to the state. I don't know where it goes or if it ends up in that, but supposedly that was intended for on the roundabout or at the top on the exit or a light down at the bottom of Sash. So I don't know if that we'll get credit for any of that. Right, yeah, that good.
Goes off in the dark.
Yeah.
Could be bad, it's a question.
Yeah. So we've paid it. We're covered for it, but so anyone going into that park will be paying a V-Trans mitigation fee. Other things we've done, we just we pretty much wrapped up the Pearly block up in Enosburg. We bought so we went through the strategic planning process where we talked about we changed our mission a little bit. I mean, because no one can find employees, we're not that we're changing our mission. I mean, we're not going away from if someone came and where we found an industry that would come, we're not going to turn them away. But at the same time, we're looking at quality of life and trying to help communities improve their in downtown area. So we bought the Pearly block in Enosburg. It's about a $1.9 million project. We renovated it. It's fully full now. We've got 8 apartments. Going to put another 4 in the fall, or in the spring, excuse me. But it adds a lot to downtown Enosburg. We've assisted Bakersfield on the Brigham Academy, just named after you, Jack. And doing some design work to see if that could be turned into some apartments. So we're sort of spreading our wings a little bit away from just industrial development and focus on. I sent someone. I just sent someone that way. I don't know if you got anyone call you on that. That's why I was late. I was waiting over at the town hall, the old town hall.
Moved.
Yeah.
Do we have any businesses or industry that come in? Is a workforce here,
Well, that's what
housing, and all that's coming into play?
not nearly enough, no, but I'll stay as long as you want, but my last point I was gonna make tonight is that K-Tech up in Richford is closing their doors.
Really?
Yeah. And part of it is because they can't find help. And it seems odd that you can't find help in Richford, but no one wants to work. So the K-Tech was bought by another company a year ago, and they've chosen to close their doors. So, and I've been saying for 2 or 3 years that if we can't find people to work, these companies will, all the work that everyone's put in the town, FCIDC, the state to get St. Albans and Franklin County where it is today, we're going to start taking steps backwards. Ben and Jerry's can't find people to run an ice cream line. They'll pull that line, or Barry Calbo will pull that line and go to Henderson, Nevada, or wherever they have other plants. And K-Tech was the first, the first sign of that. They couldn't find help. They tried for a year, and so
There's a lot of people walking around on the streets of Richford.
no, that's what I'm saying. If you can't find people,
Correct.
Right.
but you're right, Jeff, if you can't find people to work in Richford, then
Well, that was.
that's part.
Do you see that?
What's that?
Big farms get them all up there.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a top 3 factor?
Workforce is
Not
definitely
getting-
top one. Workforce is
St.
number
Albans.
one. No, you ask any manufacturer and they've got 10, 15, 20 openings that they can't fill.
So how, maybe you can't answer this, maybe you can, but say a company from, I don't know, Canada wants to come here. How do they assess the quality of our work? How do they know we don't have any help? Because they see all the wanted ads everywhere else, or is there?
Well, part of our selling point, if you will, is that we have 10,000 people that get on the interstate and go south to go to work. And we have 4,500 coming in. Our selling point is that if you pay a wage, a good enough wage, those individuals, you would think, would sacrifice the hour and a half in a car to go work and pay gas and wear and tear and all that, and stay local and work. So that's the sort of our selling point, if you will, because I think it is. I mean, and it's happened to a lot of folks, have decided to not go to, I think there's 2 employees in City Hall who left Burlington jobs to come work closer to home and stay at City Hall. So that's probably the big one. So yeah, that's,
I'm hopeful. I mean, there's of course, the projects you guys got going in the city with, trying to expand housing units, and certainly in the town. And I still think the bigger police force will have, and then, the not have the affiliation fee anymore. I mean, I'm hoping all of those things, because people who live in the town or the city or any of the surrounding areas, I mean, that's the workforce for these places. Of course, it doesn't happen overnight, so that's the issue.
I thought, Jeff, the road you were gonna go down is high school graduates. Just that's an opportunity as well. So we just did, FCIDC held what we call a Maker Day. It was out at MVU. We invited all the 5 high schools in the county. We had a panel discussion of individuals who started out at Vermont Precision Tools or Med Associates as high school students. And then they made a career out of it, and they're in management and they've done well. So we had a panel discussion of those individuals. We also had displays from a number of different manufacturers. And then we took them, they signed up for a tour. So we took them on evening tours at Ben and Jerry's, Barry Callebaut, Vermont Precision, to educate them, and their parents could go as well, educate them about what the opportunities are for when you graduate from high school. A lot of them didn't realize it. They didn't know what was available. A lot of people don't know what is being manufactured here in the county. So we're going to continue doing those tours. We're trying to set one up at Milan or Beatrice now here in January. So we're going to try to, I mean, you've got how many, probably 500 kids graduating every June, of which probably 60%, 50% go off to college. So you've got some numbers that you could fill those.
Hundreds anyway.
Thought about it, go off to college, end up with $200,000.
No, you're right.
They're not making what those other folks should be making in 4 years.
I mean, we were looking for a water plant operator in Georgia, the Georgia water plant, offering $70,000. Basically, all you have to do is we're trying to get DTC to do a certification program. Not getting a lot of headway there, but someone could go work at a water plant, get their certification in 2 years, doesn't cost them anything. They're getting paid while they're there, and they can have a career. I mean, Montgomery's putting in a new water plant. Who else? Sheldon is talking about upgrades. I mean, and most of the people who work there are seniors, and there's not going to be there's no backfill. There's no bench to fill those voids. Yeah, no.
That's how my son picked his job, another place, but a lot of the internships, bringing kids to college for summer. They like them, maybe a lot of them off.
Right, they offer them jobs on the spot.
Yeah, my son did that. He was
Yeah.
at VTC, he spent the summer at Superior, Surrey.
Nice, well, both my boys were clerks, and it's a requirement, they have to have an internship for graduation. And that's what a lot of them at clerks have to take jobs with, and someone like, phone and they end up going off to work phone.
And I mean, Beta is a new opportunity. Beta does a wonderful job promoting their operation, and there's not a lot working here in Franklin County yet, but that can change as time passes. But yeah, so.
That's good. I don't just need more questions here, but those are good Good, okay, we have one more question over here, Tim, but no, it's good. I just guess I just see what I see in the industrial park and if there's nothing going in, I don't necessarily know why, although I was surprised. I think it was dropped Elliot off at Steeler practice a year or two ago. I didn't even know that extra part in the, you know, the industrial park was there. I went for a walk and walked past there. It's,
I don't know.
let's have a few businesses in there. Be great, yeah.
So we're seeing, like I said, if we settle on this purchase and sale, there could be another building going up here in the springtime. And
Yeah, do you have a
And
question,
that's-
Dave? Or, I'm sorry.
I was just
You're
gonna say,
done.
I mean, it's like a housing development. The first one goes in, then it, you know, people feel a little more comfortable putting a house in, and I think, industry or businesses are very similar to that as well.
Mhm.
So,
Thank you. Question, Dave?
Yeah, if the work shortages an issue, which it's not like it is, is there something one of the school trades training to prepare the kids for that some of the kids aren't gonna go to college? So can we actually create specific training in the high school that's
when the tech,
geared towards like, you know, some job that might open down into the weight plant in Georgia or Ben Jerry's or something like this?
yeah, so, the tech center is, they have over 100 kids in their building trades. And I know we're talking two different things right now, but, you know, I run into kids, Seth Hungerford, Ben too. I mean, there's a lot that have gone through building trades, then gone on to DTC and have done very well. Building trades is very successful at the tech center. What they did away with, there is, some technology courses, robotics, that type of stuff. The discussion now is that, actually CCD is looking at doing a manufacturer's, certification. So you can go to CCD, you can take this, I think it's 40 hours and be certified to be better prepared to go into a Ben and Jerry's or so that is an option as well. You know, the other stuff at the tech center, they used to have machining many years ago, lathe and that type of stuff, but yeah, the big thing now is CNC, equipment that computer and pneumatic control. Almost the majority of your production facilities, like a Vermont Precision Tools, like a Ray's Tubing and Die, like Leader Evaporator, they all use these machines now, and it's quite expensive to be trained on. That would be the route. That would be the route we should go.
I saw someone that in New York State where they bombarded famous civil welders. They brought a welding, famous civil welding to the high school training. And decided to get $75,000 from college. You know, they're gonna just you know, a home run for it. We've got 50% of our kids that aren't going to college, and you've got a shortage of labor. You should be looking at their education system. Prepare these kids.
Or at least, yeah. If sorry, I haven't been good about it. Let me just recognize folks. Yeah, I mean, I think part of it too is probably just make sure the kids are aware. I mean, I went through school here. I was not aware of half of the opportunities you're talking about.
So there is welding in at the tech center, an adult course that kids can take, and a Leader Evaporator would hire any welder that comes along. They're looking at 2 or 3 that they need now, and so I mean, we've lost school population in Vermont loses about 1,000 kids a year to lower birth rates, and we're at 120,000. I think we're at 90,000 now. So that has a big impact on the workforce.
Mhm.
Not just here, but across the state. People move out.
We're losing a lot of people to attrition, because people are leaving the state. But
So-
they're supposed to be coming in here in droves.
Different
people. Pandemic, they
The young people are leaving.
Yeah, the pandemic's over now. Yeah,
They're not living.
I think that's helpful, Tim. So just to get an update, I probably just ask you around the hockey rink, what's going on, but.
No, no, my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Like I said,
That was
I
very
did-
informative.
I didn't get out
Yeah.
during COVID much, but now I'm getting out and about again. But I'm glad to come down anytime. Just let me know.
We meet again in 2 weeks. Welcome back.
Well, I know you got Dave on and that's gonna take a lot of time.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, but you
I
got here before you went, yeah.
appreciate it, Tim. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Have a good night.
Let's see, we got town manager's report. I think we just got two notification things to mention, Sean, right?
Information only.
Yep, information only, just about some focus stuff. And I'm gonna skip number 8 here and just go to 9 if there's any other business from anyone they'd like to bring up. All right, we'll go to the schedule then. Our next 2 meetings. The next one is 2 weeks from today, so Monday, December 18th. And the next one after that will be January 3rd. That's a Wednesday. The first obviously is a holiday, so we won't be meeting on that Monday, but 2 days later on Wednesday as we normally do. And then I would ask for a motion to go into an executive session to discuss a contractual matter where premature general public knowledge of the subject matter would place the town or person involved at a substantial disadvantage. I would be further moved to enter into executive session to discuss a contractual matter under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1 of Vermont statutes, and to invite in town manager Sean Atkins.
Second.
Or make the motion.
So
Make the motion.
Second.
Yep, thank you. Second by Jonathan, thank you. All with discussion or,
Oh, that's something else.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
So do we have a final budget discussion?
Thank you, gentlemen.
We can